Hard Mission Monday. My name is Sue Roskoff, and I am one of the ambassadors here with Project Die Hard. We are here every Monday night giving an update on what is all going on in the world of Project Die Hard. And we are also privileged to introduce a couple of guests joining us tonight. I am so excited to introduce them to everyone and give them a chance to share more about themselves and their connection now with Project Die Hard. So Project Die Hard, if you're listening to this, I hope you already are familiar with what Project Die Hard is, all about giving hope to veterans. Why does this mission exist? Well, sadly, suicide is a massive issue with veterans. When you look at the population across the United States here, 6.4% of the population is comprised of veterans. But when you look at the number of people who are veterans who end up losing their life to suicide, 57% of the suicides are veterans. Did you get that? 6.4% of our population, but more than half of the suicides are veterans. This is a problem. I wish Project Die Hard didn't have to exist, but it does. And thank God it does. And God is part of the mission. Always has been, always will be. Brian Gibson is amazing. He is the founder of this organization. Our first location is now open. The doors are open to groups coming in. The doors are open. It's in Makanda, Illinois, and groups are welcome to come in. The kitchen is ready to go. What is left to finish off the project there of this? Let me back up a second. It is a 20-acre property with a 10,000 square foot building on this gorgeous property. We still have part of the mission to complete on the site, though. The goal is to be able to have veterans stay there as an extended stay location, whether it's a day, a week, a month, up to a year, where individuals can actually stay there, and even two families that would be able to stay at this location until they can figure out the things that they need to get on their feet and do what they need to do to move forward in their lives. Project Die Hard exists to give hope to veterans. We are grateful for what it all is. What needs to be done, though, in order for that part to complete, we need time, we need hands, we need money, we need pieces to actually do the last bits, like literally do, like grab a sledgehammer, take down a wall kind of stuff going on right now. Plumbing, we need to have the plumbing rearranged in that 10,000 square foot location. There are things to be done in order to open the rest of the building. That's where you come in. Do you have time that you can offer yourself to the mission? Because do you know every second Saturday of the month, so I'll say that again, the second Saturday of the month is a time where you can actually go there and donate your time, your effort, your abilities to this mission. There will be a perfect time for you to come on in. If you don't live near Makanda, Illinois, hey, what a great excuse for a road trip, right? Get some buddies, head there, spend the day, make a difference. What else can you do? You know how much it costs to do renovations? Donations are needed. If it's you, if it's someone you know, if it's a business you know, whatever it is, ideally they would, if they had 100 people donating $22 a month, do you know what difference that would make? Massive. So we are looking for patrons. We're looking for folks who are in the position to be able to do that. If those two things are not part of what you can do right now, we could use prayers. Prayers are huge. Make a difference. Whatever that means for what you can do, I'm here. I'm part of this podcast. I feel very, very, very blessed to be able to be part of this, to be able to help spread the word of what is going on with this mission, and to be able to do what I can to help make a difference. Because you know what Brian told me recently? I still can't hardly believe this. There's this holiday spike that happens with veteran suicide. And I'm sad to say he personally was able to share that on Christmas Day alone, 7 lives were lost, just that he knows of. What can we do to make a difference? We need to be able to provide hope to our veterans. So I'm hoping that next week Brian will be back himself, where he can give his own information and added pieces, because this is what I know right now. And beyond that, I know we've got some great guests coming up here. So I am going to go ahead and bring in our first guest tonight. I am thrilled to be able to share with you Calvin Evans. He actually was on here once before. I believe it was last April that he joined us and was able to share some then. So if we can go ahead and bring Calvin in to introduce himself and remind us, who are you? And I'm going to pass the mic to you. I'm so glad you're here.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing and hosting this evening. And it's great to be back on again. Again, my name is Calvin Evans. I'm the owner of Exodus Adventures. And basically, what I hope to do is encourage and give support for what Project Die Hard is doing in terms of offering hope to our veterans. I'm a veteran in the United States Air Force. I was 8 years as a Russian and Chinese linguist. Got out, and the transition was pretty difficult. And so I dedicated my life to fitness and wellness in order to live life as an adventure. And what's important to me is to let everyone know that Project Die Hard is one of those organizations that is out there on the front lines trying to help our veterans, which is near and dear to my heart. When I got out in '98, it was a very tough transition. We had a 2-year-old daughter and one on the way, and being able to find a way to transition from military life to civilian life, it was really difficult. We were homeless for a few months, and being able to navigate our way to just normalcy, it was difficult. Finally getting a job after 9 months of being out. And then from there, it was just a difficult time. And so what I want to do is give back to veterans and support them. So since I've been out, the goal that I've had to or been working toward is health and wellness. Because the biggest thing that we get while we're in the military is to become a lean, mean fighting machine, and as a team. And so when we leave that structure, it's difficult if we don't have the proper process in order to be able to transition out. And with many organizations nowadays that are available to be able to help, I appreciate Project Die Hard, because I've found that as far as veterans are concerned, sometimes we lose our mission and we lose our way. And what's most important is being able to offer tools to be able to help deal with the trials and tribulations that come with service in the military. And just as an example, as far as my background is concerned, my dad was in the United States Army. He was a Vietnam vet. He wound up getting PTSD, and he wasn't diagnosed until 2004. So growing up with him and not understanding his anger, his rage, his flashbacks, the things that he dealt with and faced, being part of an all-black platoon, forward observers, and his platoon pretty much dying except for him, and survivor's guilt in dealing with that. I didn't know what was going on with him growing up. I didn't understand his anger. I didn't understand his rage. I didn't understand the guilt that he had. And finally being diagnosed with PTSD in 2004 was a long time coming. But as he was diagnosed, he was able to get help and support. And that's what I want to make sure to encourage veterans that are listening to this podcast, listening to this live feed. There is always hope. There's no need to give up. And you have a new mission. And the new mission is to help your brothers and sisters that were in the military that are having a difficult time transitioning out to get the support and help that they need as well, just like you. Just because in the military, we're taught that we have battle buddies, and we're supposed to support one another for a common goal and a mission. Once you're out, your common goal and mission is to support your family and your friends and to be there for them. And the goal is to get as much help and support as possible. I know that for my dad, when he got out back in the early 70s, there was no support. And the great thing that we have these days is that there's lots of support. There are a lot of organizations, there are a lot of people that care, and they're willing to support our veterans. And so please make sure to jump on the bandwagon of rearranging your idea and understanding of what your mission is. Get the help that you need. There, it's out there. I know there's not a lot of trust in our current process as far as the VA hospitals or the VA itself. However, there are organizations and people that can help navigate and find the right help that's needed. And that's the goal, is not giving up. And so what I offer as far as Exodus Adventures is concerned is fitness and wellness. I have a fitness app that you can download. And anyone that is listening or part of Project Die Hard gets 10% off the fitness packages that are part of that. It's the new year. It's January 1st, 2024. What do you want this year to be? How do you want to move forward in this year? What exactly do you want to accomplish? Well, in order to get to wherever you need to get to, is that you need to make sure that your mind is sharp, your body is healthy, and that you're taking care of yourself emotionally and spiritually as well. And that starts with a good spiritual foundation. And I'm thankful for Project Die Hard as far as their scriptural foundation, the Bible, and trusting that God does have the answer for the pain and the sorrow that each individual faces. I know for me in my walk, that God was extremely important during the times of the transition that was difficult, and that there are people that are there to be able to help support you. And as a part of that, I want to be a part of that answer as well. So that anyone that is part of Project Die Hard, 10% off as far as packages, fitness packages are concerned. Just download the app. We've got plenty of information. And in order to go to that, the website is exodusadventures.com. That's Exodus without the E, starting with an X, XODUS, adventures @gmail.com. I'm sorry, .com. So go to the website, look at the packages, download that, and then any of the proceeds that we earn as far as the business is concerned, we give back to Project Die Hard as well. So we believe in the mission. We want to support our veterans and their families, and know that there are resources that are out there that can help and support you. Remember, you're not alone. You're not the only person going through difficulties, and you're not the only person that is wanting help or support. And as it was shared earlier, the holiday season is where it's really difficult for some of our veterans and their families in dealing with loss and dealing with sadness and dealing with depression, anxiety, all of those things. So what we want to offer is support and help to be able to reach out and touch those that need it the most, and make sure that you know that you're not alone. There are people that care and do understand. So that's what Exodus Adventures, the business that I have, and I've been doing since 2004, giving back, military style type of exercises, calisthenics, getting in tune with your body, and then from there, building a foundation so that way you can go, if you want to go to the gym, if you want to build your own home gym, you're more than welcome to. I can help with consulting with that. I do one-on-ones. Whatever that is necessary to be able to help you reach your fitness and wellness goals, I can do that. So background, grew up in Texas. Again, my dad was a military vet. He passed away this past May. And thankfully I had the opportunity of being able to see him before he passed away and pray with him as well. And so for those that have had military members that suffered through PTSD, anger issues, things like that, maybe of strained relationships, know that there is a powerful way of being able to reconcile with those members. And for me, it was my dad, and it was an honor to be able to see him. So with that, that's my passion. So thank you. Yes.
I wanted to ask about your website, because when I looked up the domain you spelled, it actually came up with one that's for sale for over $158,000.
Can you just repeat the website one more time?
Yes, it's exodusadventures.com. That's Exodus, XODUS, adventures.com. It should work. If it doesn't, let me know. 150. That's impressive.
You're more valuable than you realize.
Evidently so.
No, that's awesome. I can really appreciate what you all said here. Thank you so much for being here. And I do have a question for you. Now,
Yes, please go ahead.
so understanding a little bit more than with what Project Die Hard is, and with the forward operating base Rush that is opening, the doors are open now for events, but we're still going to be getting the rest of it done, where there'll be a place for people to stay when they're coming off of active duty and transitioning to civilian life. There will be a location, and hopefully in the future here we're going to have like many locations, but this is our first one, and we're working on getting those doors open. What kind of a difference would it have made for you and your family if that existed and you were able to utilize that as your stepping stone as you were making your transition out of the military?
It would have made a huge difference. Thankfully, we had family and friends that helped to support us along the way. But in the days in which we live, and there's so much going on, that would have been perfect for us as far as that transition and the time needed to be able to get the proper skills needed to be able to transition, to make sure that things were taken care of as far as food and shelter. All of that would have been a tremendous help. In fact, as I think about it now, it was by the grace of God that we made it through that transition, as difficult as it was.
Yeah, I can imagine, because I know from what I've heard, because I've never served in the military, so I look on this and my views on this are very different for obvious reasons. I haven't had that experience. I've heard enough stories that I get it to the extent that I'm able. And you never understand completely unless you walk in those shoes. And from what I'm understanding, having this and the resources that will be there to be able to, a lot of the resources exist now, and with those at Project Die Hard can connect people now with things like, how do I find a place to live now? Where can I go
Right.
to further my education, or what are my job options? Because everything changes, right? You went from, you're being told what to do every day. You've got a job, and now here you go. You're
Right.
done.
Right.
I can't personally
Yeah.
even imagine just, that flipping a switch of, okay, my life just completely changed, and now I'm on my own to figure this out.
Exactly. And the difficulty of that was, as you said before, we're living on post. We had housing taken care of. Our bills were taken care of. Had a job. Everything was taken care of. And then, well, you're done. Get out, figure out how to survive from there. And you're no longer with a team anymore. You're on your own. So figure it out. As much as we learn in the military to be a team, to be able to complete the mission, once you're out there, once it was out, when I got out at that time, the transition to a new mission took a while, and figuring out what my place was in that, and how do I plug in the gaps of what the military took care of, and understanding that not everybody's out there for you to support you. So even if you did serve in the military, now I think it's a little bit more different. There's a little bit more options and opportunities, thankfully. And as I said before, with Project Die Hard and what all the Project Die Hard is doing, it is a phenomenal answer to the needs that are out there today.
Excellent. Yeah, I often have thought through that whole thing of going from, I know where I'm living, I know my job, I know all the things I need to do, and those decisions are done. You don't have to think about it because it's there. And then all of a sudden,
Right.
everything, you have to decide all these things, and from everywhere from, even what city am I going to? Do you have a home to go
Right.
back to? Do you still have family back home? Do you not? Everybody's in a different place. Some people are in a position where, they can maybe move back with a family member or a friend back home, just for something temporary to figure out what's next. But I don't know how much time you guys really get to really stop and think about, oh my God, what am I going to do when I go back? How does this work? And I'm hoping that the guidance and the level of support keeps getting better and better. But I know historically it's not been great.
No, it hasn't been great. However, as I said before, that was back in '98. There are a lot more resources now, a lot more people that are aware of the struggles that veterans go through, which is I'm extremely grateful and thankful for. The issues that veterans are dealing with today sometimes get lost in the mix of all that's happening in our world. I mean, there's a lot that's going on right now. And so communities, local communities are key and important to be able to reach out and support our veterans. And as you said before, road trips are great to be able to go and support what you all are doing. Adventures abound, that's for sure. And the biggest thing that we want to remind each and every one of our servicemen and women is that once you get out, your service doesn't stop from there. It still continues because we need you in the communities. We need you to be able to help your communities with being reminded about why our nation is has the freedoms that it has, why you served, and remembering the character and the things that were taught while you were in the military to be able to pass that on to your community as well.
And I love what you had said as you were talking earlier. I know you had made the comment about it's just you're on a new mission now. As you come out of the military, the viewpoint of not that I've lost, I knew what my mission was there, and now I have a new mission, and that's the piece, figuring out what that is, because now you're kind of deciding yourself, what does that new mission look like? So yeah, Jennifer, go ahead.
Yes. So I was trying to ask Kelvin about this. So Brian asked, why would we give them up to a year to sign up?
As far as for up to,
Why do we give?
Why would we give them up to a year?
I think the answer to that basically is everybody takes a different amount of time to figure out what's next. Because I think, like Kelvin, you said it took you about 9 months to find a job, to find that next thing that got you to where you need to be then. So it takes time. Some people might find, I know I heard in one of our recent podcasts, there was a story shared that, somebody that came out with a certain set of skills was able to get lined up with a job almost like walking out of the military and right into that job. So sometimes it's real quick like that. And other times it's going to take time, and to figure out how much, there's no way to know exactly how long that's going to take. But I think by giving it a year as a potential piece here where Project Die Hard could be that in between, I think that's a reasonable expectation of a person that they can find something and figure things out in that amount of time. I think that's the goal, to also have that little bit of push, like, this is not your permanent home. This is your stepping stone.
And also that transition is that you've got one or two options. So depending on the job that you did in the military, if there's a good transition point to be able to get into something else, that's on the civilian side, that's great, because then someone can transition with no problem. But if your job doesn't translate into the civilian world, then you've got to figure out a set of skills that's going to be able to help you with being able to transition and be able to provide for your family. So a year, I would say, is a very good time to be able to make sure that all those T's are crossed and I's are dotted. Especially nowadays, in terms of all that's going on in the world, to be able to make sure the most important aspect of the new mission for someone that's getting out of the military is, how do I take care of my family? How do I take care of myself? How do I translate what I did? And if I was really good at what I did in the military, can I do that in the civilian world as well?
Excellent. Jennifer, did you have any other questions now? Otherwise, I think we're going to switch and get our next guest in here too, but go ahead.
Yes, I was going to say, I think we need to switch to the next guest and then bring all of them in for one big discussion.
I think that sounds like a great plan.
Yeah.
So Kelvin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, I'm impressed with all that you're bringing here with us here. And I am so excited to bring in a gentleman that I have had the pleasure of speaking with many times lately in the last, I don't know, a couple of months here. Derek, I feel like is an old friend at this point, and I am so happy that you're here with us. I'm going to pass the stage over to you to tell us more about who you are and your relation with this mission at this point. So Derek, the floor is yours. Just need to unmute. I know all the buttons, right? Let me see if I can help you with that. There you go.
There we go. All right. So I'm Derek Espadas. I'm in Tucson, Arizona, and I'm basically a serial entrepreneur. So I own a business called Supporting Strategies, where we do bookkeeping and accounting. I own a school, or opened a school called Chloe Preparatory Academy, for kids that are just having a hard time in school. And there's probably a couple other things in there that I'm not going to go through the whole list. But I'm also working on my doctorate at Ohio. And during while Calvin was talking, I kept hearing a colleague of mine in the program that we talk about, and he's a veteran, and just kind of the trouble he goes through, even kind of seemingly finding his space, just kind of the daily stuff. And one of the reasons we get along so well is because what he sees is crazy. I'm like, oh, that's pretty normal. Like, I come from a non-traditional background. So what he's like, people don't understand this. I'm like, that makes complete sense to me with the way you're thinking. So just, I did one of the other things that kind of jumped out with when Kelvin was talking too was, just, a lot of times we kind of forget before people do go into the service, kind of all that trauma that they may have had previously, and which may have led them to go find organization with structure and trying to find themselves. And we forget that they may even be entering with trauma. One of the things I do is I travel around the country and consult and teach educators to identify their traumas, because it helps them communicate better. And Calvin mentioned that too, some of the problems of just not knowing how to express what's in your head to your loved ones, and having that create conflict. And even I do it all the time. So the example I use, with my wife, she gets very frustrated with me when I say, whatever. And she says it's so frustrating because she just thinks I don't care about anything. And one day I had to realize that whatever, and I was talking to a friend about this, so I didn't say to my wife, I go, but when I say whatever, I just mean I am so grateful that she's even thinking about doing something for me, that it doesn't matter. Like, I'm just so grateful that someone cares about me, but it just comes out as whatever. And so I had to go and communicate with my wife of, this is what I mean when I say whatever. But in my head, it's just whatever. And doing those words, all that extra explaining everything in my head, I think it exits my mouth, but it just comes out as whatever. So I've had to learn how to do that communication, and it's still problematic. Like, it's not like I'm an expert at it, but yeah, that communicating to others, especially when you're part of an organization where you have that same communication, where you can say a word and people know what you mean. I have in-laws on both sides of my family who are in the Army, and when they visit, they start dropping acronyms and technical terms, and I'm just like, what is that? And they get kind of frustrated that they have to explain what they're talking about, because they've been part of this whole family where they can say things and everybody knows because they have that shared experience. And so there's that frustration of that transition.
Mr. Derek?
Excuse me?
Can I interject?
Yeah.
So the key is, how you're talking about communication.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're my generation, but we grew up in the 80s and 90s. And at that point, when the word whatever first became, a big thing to say, kind of like cool it was in the 60s and all, it actually was a, let's say, gentle way, as opposed to using cuss words to replace the F word, but it was supposed to be a nice way of just basically saying, mind your own business and leave me alone kind of idea. And that's why the message you convey with that is kind of like using the F word towards your wife.
Good point. I also come from a group of people that that's how we communicate. So again, like her family, like they what we joke around. I say they did weird things like tell each other they love each other, and support each other. Where my family was not like that, where cursing at each other was our communication. So using a
But do you want
substitute
it to stay part of your communication? Because that may have been true in your childhood, but you're an adult now, so it doesn't have to be true. And if you don't want it to be true, then don't use a substitute for it.
So I question whether or not I'm an adult. But no, I agree with you, and that's one of those things of like being able to catch myself. Like when I was having that conversation with a friend of like, and they helped me really like talking about these things helps, like actually getting stuff out of my head, whether or not it's the person I want to discuss or that I should be communicating with or someone else. Just getting those thoughts out of your head so that other people can hear them, because everything makes sense inside my head. Everything. I can justify anything. But having that conversation with someone where they're like, yeah, why don't you tell her all this great stuff you're telling me? I'm like, oh yeah, huh? And getting into the pattern that I've learned from her, that of being more comfortable of saying I love you, because that was not part of my vocabulary growing up. So yeah, learning new things, and that's kind of why I love teaching that to people, and
Wait a
and when
minute.
I do travel across
Can
the
you
country,
really teach something to others before you have learned it yourself?
I think we learn in the process. So one of the things that has helped, and we do feedback surveys at the end. One of the feedbacks, one of the comments I get back on when I facilitate these sessions is the fact that I'm very real about it. So a lot of times, when we do these sessions, people think it's going to be one of these fluffy unicorn and rainbow kind of things. I
Not at
open
all.
up about, my flaws and my shortcomings, and put it into a context of reality of, and I let them know too, like there's a reason that people are guarded. There's a reason I'm guarded. Like I don't say things like this to everyone. And so it becomes a little more, some people view it as more real world, as opposed to the, hey, just open yourself up to everyone, it's going to be okay, which I don't think is really the best, because there's always
Well,
consequences, and
and
there's always,
I'm really picking at you about this because
yeah.
I've been an educator for 23 years, and I had a company that was recognized as the top in the state of Texas, and it's the largest state in the country, and my company was the top educators. So that's where I go into the education side. That's our calling and understanding as educators. But where do you see that your attempt to educate and Project Die Hard ties in? Like, where does this meet with veterans?
So, one, I would love the opportunity, and I'll say it right now, to offer some classes. As an accountant, I do have technical skills. To if there's anyone looking to upgrade their, Excel knowledge or just basic business skills, I would love to offer that as an opportunity. Maybe we can even do it as a fundraiser, to allow non-Project Die Hard people to pay for the classes and use that money to go to Project Die Hard.
Definitely, you and I
I
need to meet. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Now I forgot your question because I was.
Where does
Yeah.
your educational background and your attempt to educate based off of your own experience, as opposed to someone who's actually hardcore trained in education, to
Ooh.
meet the need of veterans and to service Project Die Hard and veterans altogether?
So, wow, you just sent me into a minefield, didn't you?
Well, you said fundraising. That's ultimately where your last answer went.
So I would say, I don't have a lot of the pedagogy. I teach subject matter. And I'm not saying pedagogy isn't important, because I learned from pedagogy from colleagues, but I have technical skills that I can pass on. And so that's what I have to offer. A lot of times too, with adult learners, with people who have, kind of like Calvin mentioned, like being very good at a specific task, and then being treated as a child through education, or maybe perceived that way. I think meeting someone that has technical skill but may not be applicable in civilian society directly, and meeting them with more technical skill to build them up and provide pathways so they can realize self-worth in civilian context. I think that has power, and that provides a connection and a relationship where then you can also be, that person to lean on, the, hey, I'm having a bad day, and just providing that space. You connected on, you're great at what you do, I'm great at what I do, we've shared these technical skills. Now also know that I can provide this space for you to vent, to tell me if you are not feeling well, and then we can find someone who's better at that. I'm not a counselor. If I feel someone needs, professional counseling skills, to provide that direction, and if you have that relationship, people are more willing to listen rather than someone just saying, yeah, you need to talk to someone. And because
So you're a
in my own life,
service.
I've been there where I've been like, yeah, I'll talk to someone, and that didn't happen for 12 years because I'd figure it out on my own, which I didn't.
So you basically are saying you're willing to refer any veteran or veteran dependent or so forth to different resources, and that somehow be part of a service you'll give to Project Die Hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I am someone that if anyone needs help, I'm not gonna just leave them stranded. That's not where I am in my life's journey. So it's always, and I feel good that I know of a lot of resources. I'm just very connected community, uh, both here in Tucson and nationwide, and being able and take pride in being able to say, "Hey, have you thought about talking to this person?" Or this place has this resource. My wife is a former social worker, so we're always just collecting resources that if anyone, and you never know, if anyone just says, "Hey, do you know of," being able to say, "I do. Let me connect you with so and so," so
Is
that
she
you
an
can get the help.
LCSW?
She is an LMSW.
LMS? Because I know a licensed clinical social worker. So what is she?
She's the licensed mastered social worker.
Okay, and is that like a higher level of qualification than the one I know?
You make more money than she does.
Oh.
So she would be one step below you.
So she must need a bachelor's degree, because the type I know, the licensed clinical social worker has to have a master's degree to sit for the exam.
Yeah. So she has the ability to take that exam. She's just chosen not to. She's actually switched. She's actually a data analyst now. We're we're a numbers family.
Hey, you're speaking to another one. I've got 2 degrees in accounting.
Let's do some debits and credits then. So yeah, and even in accounting, like I find a way to help people. Like it's, I just helped someone today that was not getting what they needed, and being able to sit down and kind of ask more of those social work questions about what they're trying to do, rather than just focusing on the numbers. Like, what is your goal? They actually just had their mother pass away, and so helping them get through sales and tax implications of selling houses, and there's still numbers help people in their own ways. So it's
Well, yeah, but it's the core of any business
yeah
or nonprofit, because you have to have the funds or you have to have the profit or whatever. But in the end, you you know, no matter how great your product or service is, until you profit and you continue to profit and grow, your business is doomed to fail.
yeah
Or in a nonprofit, the cause is doomed to not reach its benefit. That's the whole intent of a nonprofit.
Yeah. No,
That's the core of every organization. Even though
with
it's used in different
nonprofits, I
ways.
actually have to explain to them that nonprofit does not mean no profit. Because
Well, interesting enough, I've been working with somebody somewhere in Europe. Anyways, she has a nonprofit, and she thought it meant no money. So I had to explain to her that she could raise funds, but 100% of that had to go to servicing the cause. That was the whole point of her mission. Where she thought it meant she had to pay off her personal pocket and work a job. That's then again the misinterpretation of nonprofit.
yeah, and learning how to maximize those funds so that you can provide more services. I actually got my start in accounting with Goodwill. I actually started off working with kids, tutoring them math coming out of the juvenile system, and then started working in the accounting department as I got my degrees. And that was one of the things of like, how do we maximize the ability to create more programs? And sometimes even, I was very, very grateful to my CFO at the time because he greenlit some projects where we were losing money, but providing that service was very important.
This really seems like a small world because my tutoring company was the one that serviced Goodwill in the state of Texas.
Oh, God. That's awesome.
So
Yes.
this is really odd meeting you. Like I meet myself.
I was just at because I travel to Houston a lot. I was just at the Goodwill right there at A-Leaf.
Yeah, and I'm in the Houston area.
Oh,
West
okay.
Houston, Katy.
Oh, I was just submitting expense reports for my stay at Katy.
Well, depending on what part of Katy, you could have been walking distance from where I live.
We were having a get together at her space,
Okay.
which is yeah. I just let the Uber driver take me places. I know it was along the walkway, the little green space walkway that they have there.
Okay, we really gotta talk. This is weird.
And I will say I love Houston because best food ever. Like I grew up in Los Angeles. I think Houston has the best food. Like
So a lot of people in
so
Houston
much
think
variety.
that Los Angeles has the healthier food, but Texas always has the bigger size.
Yeah. No, I love Houston, and the diversity there provides. Like I've seen restaurants for things I never. Last time I was there, I saw a Qatari coffee shop, and that just blew my mind. I didn't even know that existed. So went to go.
There you go. Can we bring the other two in, Miss Sue?
Or else we'll just talk food forever.
Yeah, it's time. Let's bring everybody back in here and open up the conversation as we come to this last portion. I'm sorry, Jennifer, go ahead.
I said, let's bring the other guests in and have a group discussion.
Awesome. All right. Yeah.
So everybody else, bring y'all back in here with Derek and I having this really weird conversation, practically beating each other. What do y'all have to say with the topic, like Mr. Calvin, you and Derek, and how y'all both want to help veterans, but you have different approaches?
I think as a community, just as I had mentioned before, being in the military, you're taught to be a part of a team, and each person has a certain type of skill set in order to be able to accomplish the mission. And coming at it in different perspectives of our skill sets to be able to help attack this problem that's happening with veterans, I think it casts a wide net, and more capable individuals and people that can bring some sort of answers to be able to help our veterans to be able to work through the trauma and the PTSD and the things that they've gone through while in the military to transition healthily out in the civilian world. I think it's important to be able to bring that to the table.
Well, and I see a skill balance between Derek helping them obtain the skills and that helping them get the job, to you, Calvin, then helping them stay fit, which will help balance their PTSD and other mental health, as well as the physical, weight issues and lowering the chances of diabetes and other medical stuff. That you are coming at different avenues that could paint the full life of the veteran. Work, training for a job, matching the job, manage health. They can live, work, and be balanced and healthy.
Yeah, what's really interesting is that when I was getting out of the military, I was being pointed toward my job that I did in the military. I think there was a lot where I could grow as an individual. And so when I was looking for work, I had to pretty much start over. And thankfully, today there are a lot more options that are available. And if I understand correctly, depending on the service, that there are ways to translate for different things that we're able to do in the military into the civilian world. I think, if I understand correctly, that there are transition officers that help with that nowadays compared to when I was in, which is a huge help. And again, the issues of dealing with trauma and PTSD are far greater in terms of the tools that we have and organizations like yourself to be able to help be able to offer some answers to the veterans that are having a difficult time with transition.
And I think with what you were saying.
Oh, yeah. So I'm kind of chatty. So when I travel around the country, I just talk to random people in airports, and a lot of them have been military. Audio's getting. And one of the things that I've kind of gathered is that, yeah, kind of like Calvin has said, there's this, oh, you did that while you were in the military, let's direct you towards that direction. And yeah, I've had a lot of people say, no, I don't want to do that. Or I don't want to be steered toward construction. That seems to be the big thing. You're getting out of the military, you should go do construction. They're like, no, I want to go learn to do something else. And so really needing to open up that umbrella of like, let's look at the options. Let's look at, I think this is even true in civilian life. Like, we want to create this little box of like, these are your three options. And it's like, let's open that up and see and talk to people to see what really brings them joy. Because some people, construction is going to bring them joy. Other people, it's not. So there's not one pathway. So let's find and enable the ability of our people coming out of service and treat them well and say, what is it that you really want to do? And how can we make that happen?
And it goes with the general idea. They have defended our country so we can maintain and continue to have freedom. So why should they not get the freedom that they have fought for and not just got out of the fight of another person? They were the ones that fought, so they, even more than civilian life, deserve the reward of freedom to choose. Whether it is their career, it's where they live. Because they want to be in a certain industry and in that certain field and not in another industry, or they want to work remotely and not, if it's a type of work like this that can be done remote versus there's like, say, waiting in a restaurant that you can't do remotely. So as long as it's one that can be done remotely, if that's what they want, then that's what they should get. I mean, they fought for us, so why should we not be their advocates to say they deserve the same equality, the same freedom and right that they defended for us to have?
Absolutely.
And I liked what I was hearing too, with having a wide array of different backgrounds. There are so many people that are interested in helping out with Project Die Hard, which is amazing. That's what we need. We need this diversity of backgrounds, diversity of skill sets, all the things, because how else, if we all knew numbers as well as Derek does, we wouldn't need a bunch of, we need a few people that know that. We need people like Calvin who can do all the skills that he has. We all have our, with what we do, we work a lot with the world of ability, and we all have different abilities, and whatever it is that is our strengths, if we can bring those forward and be able to make that difference for somebody else, that is what it's all about. We collectively are so much stronger than we are individually. And that, again, that goes to the whole idea of Project Die Hard. And the thing that I hear, Brian, in my ear all the time is teamwork makes the dream work. I mean, how many times have you guys heard that one? Teamwork makes the dream work. It really does. That's where I'm so grateful, Calvin and Derek, that both of you are here and able to offer your expertise in all the things that you do, because I know full well that your expertise goes beyond the little snippet that we were able to navigate with you guys today here. But I do want to give a moment here to if any of, whether Jennifer, Kurt, if you guys have any questions you want to ask yet. Otherwise, I do want to just make sure if you guys had any last thoughts, any take-home message that you want to share. I'll give you guys a moment to think about that. We can maybe go around the room with that, especially with today being New Year's Day. We all get to take we could pick any day of the year to do this, but New Year's Day just is kind of the day to do it, right? To say, hey, fresh year, fresh start, fresh everything, which can be a really, really good thing. Or if there's somebody that doesn't know what they want to do next, if they're lost in the muddling of, I don't know where I am, I don't know what to do next, I don't know, that's where hope is hard to see sometimes. And that's where Project Die Hard is all about, providing hope, because there is a way, and that's what we're here for, is to be able to provide that to whatever extent we can and try to meet people where they are and help them get to, I heard the idea of crossing a bridge. That bridge might be just going a little bridge across the ditch that you need to get to the other side, and you need help figuring that out. Or it might be the Golden Gate Bridge, and it's going to take one foot in front of the next for a long dang time to get from here to there. But you'll get there. It just takes a step at a time. And patience, it takes patience. But I just want to say here, for my own 2 cents worth, with this being New Year's Day and so many reasons to celebrate, I am grateful for all the things that Project Die Hard is and does. And I'm grateful for you guys being here and sharing what you know and what you're able to do here with us. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Jennifer. If you want to share a few words here, where you're at today, as you're thinking forward to this coming year.
So personally, I'm at a stage where I'm sure you, Miss Sue, and Kurt could tell there's a different background. So I actually am starting off this new year in the first time of having my own place. It's not my parents' house. So that's what I spent my Christmas doing, the whole holiday. But as part of Project Die Hard and the 2024 goals, I definitely see new people coming on board with Project Die Hard. I see whether it's guests like Calvin and Derek emailing me, texting me, or it's someone who's listening and watching this podcast to text or email me at Jen, Jenn, at projectdiehard.org, or texting at 346-439-8393 with your interest to be a part of this mission, whether it is financially giving, or it's donating in a different way besides financially, or it's service, like how Derek and Calvin were talking about, that could as well email me or text me. And whoever you are, whatever you have to offer financially, service, profession, products, even if it's donating coffee that we can give to veterans who can't otherwise afford that cup of coffee that we all rely on to wake up and start our day. But whatever it is, reach out to me, and be sure to tune in every Monday at 6:30 Central to hear what our next guests are, who they are, what they have to offer, hear what's the latest news on the 2024 now starting mission of Project Die Hard, and what all of us here on the PDH Mission Monday bring to the table as the news of the week, the highlights, and all the excitement.
All right. Thanks so much, Jennifer. Kurt, I'm going to pass the baton over to you, and then we'll get over to our two guests, and then I'll do a quick wrap up at the end. So, Kurt, over to you.
I want to make sure that we're alluding to our planned event for this summer, July 26th through July 28th, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I have my calendar all marked up for Hope Stock. I hope everybody else can mark their calendar as well, no matter what we out there are able to do with that event. We want you to help us spread the word. It's our event to kind of catapult us into the remainder of the year, and with that weekend, what we can do to conjure up help and get volunteers, everybody along the way that wants to offer a volunteer capacity or discuss that or get more information, email volunteer@projectdiehard.org. And we also have a neat little program where you can have a short message, a half a minute or whatever, to be a part of spreading hope, to have it be your voice, you speaking to veterans. Email that to myvoice@projectdiehard.org, and we're going to have a constant messaging, and we're going to have that effect of veterans hearing voices from all across the land that we're here to support you and make that all happen. And a year from now, we expect that we're going to take our status from being available every day for things in a day, for a day program or day activities, to being able to offer our veterans to stay for up to a year and with their families, approaching this from a family perspective. So very important work here, literally saving lives and covering it from both ends. Those veterans who are in a dark place right now during the holiday spike and saying, how can we help? We have our president, Brian, attending to text messages right while we've been at this show. He's been taking care of people in need right now. That's how constant this is. This isn't all the time thing. This is an all hands on deck initiative. And so let's get in here and let's make sure we're checking our vets.
And
so with that, Sue,
Speaking of announcements, I didn't realize we were at that point, but to all the listeners and those interested, if you're in the Houston, Texas area or other parts of Texas and want to come to Houston, we will, in March of 2024, have founder and president Brian Gibson here in Houston, Texas. And so we are looking for everything from a place to hold the event to getting the word out that Brian Gibson of Project Die-Hard will be here in Houston, potentially Katy, Texas, as long as we can get space and we're in the Houston area as a donated usage of the space for the day in March, and all the services related, such as food or other goods and services. And please spread the word to everybody, whether they're of high influence, small influence, everyday people, big figures, whoever. We want to see everybody there, everybody that's in the Houston area or can come here to be at this event. And if you have information related to that, whether it's your organization or someone you know, please also text me at 346-439-8393 or email Jen, Jenn, at projectdiehard.org.
Excellent. Thank you, Jennifer. All right. And I want to give our guests a chance to share some final thoughts here as well. So Derek, actually, how about we start with you for your turn at your wrap up here. So again, grateful you guys are here. Derek, over to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This has been great. I just, you mentioned about the lives lost during this season here. So I just want to encourage, if there is anyone out there who is feeling lost and hopeless, I've had my own background where I've thought about taking my own life, and it always seemed that I was at my lowest and there was no hope. I always used to hate it when people would just say, "Cheer up," like it didn't hit. I would just suggest, if you're feeling like that, just reach out. Reach out to a stranger. Reach out. Feel free to email me, and I'll hop on the phone with you. Or Jennifer just gave her number. Like, just reach out. Just give yourself 5 more minutes just to talk to someone. just see if you can hold on for 5 more minutes. And the reason I say that is, the last 2 nights I could not sleep. And it was because I was filled with such gratitude of where my life is now. I was so excited that I could not sleep. And so having been at my lowest where I was going to take my life to being, and it took a while, like a couple of decades, but like I could not sleep because I was so excited to be alive. So if you're out there and you feel hopeless, I hope you can find that hope. But you don't have to do it alone. Reach out, even if it's to a stranger. Just reach out and give yourself an extra 5 minutes.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Jarek. Sometimes it takes that perspective then to having been at that low point in your life, that it can make you recognize and be as excited as you are now, that you can see that and appreciate it to the point that you lost sleep. That speaks volumes. And again, very grateful for you. So Calvin, I'm going to pass it over to you for some final thoughts from you as well.
Sure.
So, Kelvin, there we go.
As I've listened to each of you, can you hear me? So some
Yes.
of you, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay, apologize about that.
Yeah, there's a little delay, but you're good.
Okay. As I'm listening to you all, the theme resounding that I hear from each of you is the passion to be able to reach out and touch the lives of veterans. It is so important. And as I think about the year that just passed with 2023, and I think about my dad and the time that I was able to have with him, speaking from the heart, when veterans get out of the military, and the sacrifices that they've done and have gone, the trauma, the battle buddies that may have been lost, things that may have happened to them, leave wounds on the heart and the mind and the spirit, and it's debilitating at times when not treated. And being an organization that is open to reaching out to veterans, reaching out and letting them know that someone does understand and someone there is so vital and so important. And I think about my dad, even though it was late in coming, he was heard. And because he was heard, he was able to get some help. And through that, he was able to work through a lot of the anger and a lot of the things that he dealt with while he was in the military. And so I just want to say thank you all for your support and your help and your care, to be able to not only bring it to the forefront, but be able to provide answers and support with bringing like-minded individuals together to be able to cast that net out, to be able to remind veterans that their mission, even though they served in the military, is extremely important now that they're out, and that we need them, and we need them now more than ever. And that's their new mission. And whoever's listening right now, to never give up, because there are people that actually care and understand and have gone through difficulties as well. So the choice is always yours, and know that there's help always available. And so for being on this panel, being interviewed, and the gifts that I've been given to be able to reach out and support our veterans as well. So thank you for the opportunity.
Excellent. What an amazing night. I am so happy, so thrilled. And there, Brian saying it's okay not to be okay, but brothers and sisters, don't give up. That is a message directly from Brian Gibson, our founder and president here of Project Die Hard. So Brian, I'm glad you're at least able to catch what's happening here. I know you couldn't be here tonight yourself, but we are so grateful for you and all that this mission is and represents. And it's absolutely true. It's okay to not be okay. We all have times in our life where we're not okay. That's okay. Just hang on, ask for the help you need, whatever that is, reach out. Sometimes you might not even understand what you need right now. And again, that's okay. Talk to someone. It's all good. So with that, I just want to invite everybody back here every Monday night. We are here at 6:30 Central for Project Die Hard Mission Monday updates. And again, Calvin, Derek, grateful for you guys. Thank you. It's been an honor and a pleasure having you guys on here. And thanks again to our team. We are so grateful. Until next time, have a good night.